Look at the damage to that tree out there. That was terrible. Heavy wind, rain, knocking down trees.
Yeah, but there is a way you can prevent this from happening. Dave, our flower man, is at Moon Valley Nurseries with some advice on some monsoon tree maintenance. Good morning.
What's up, Dave?
Good morning, you guys. Hey, listen, we're talking about being a tree man today instead of the flower man, but take a look at all these beautiful trees. We're at Moon Valley Nursery today. They've got about every type of tree you can imagine out here. And I'm with Sal, and Sal, well, you're one of the experts at actually pruning up these trees, taking care of the trees, and actually making sure that these things don't monsoon damage. And of course, we're looking at a tree right here, and we're talking a little bit about double staking. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at right here.
So this is an Arizona ash, and when we go out and stake these at a customer's home, or they do them themselves, it's real important to have the stakes outside of the tree well itself. We try to have them at a little bit of an angle when they're in the ground. We use green wire to go around and in between this hose. The hose is really important to have to not damage or scrape into the trunk here.
And I want to just point out, the hoses aren't real tight. This allows this tree to move back and forth a little bit with the wind, so it actually develops a little bit of strength, right?
Correct, exactly. So when the winds come, another thing I want to recommend is have it against the prevailing wind. So if your property, the winds are blowing from south to north, have those poles on the east and west sides to help kind of withstand that wind in that direction. And just like Dave said, a little bit of room here for the tree to move.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got a little bit of protection on this. Describe what you're looking at right here.
So this tree wrap here is a stretchable fabric. It allows the sun to basically stay off the trunk so it doesn't burn the trees. Really popular on things like citrus trees, ash trees, and fruit trees.
Okay, and then let's take a look at this. Well, this pistache, this is called a red push pistache. I will remind you, these trees get very expensive. This one in particular is about $5,000, so you really want to watch out for protection. And of course, we want to water properly, and the other thing you want to talk about is how to water and how to make sure those drip systems are where they're supposed to be. Why don't you describe what you've been doing on this tree itself?
Sure, so inside the tree when they're at the nursery, the obviously needs to be up against the trunk. And when most homeowners put in their trees, they'll put the irrigation at the same place, right in and around the trunk area. But as the tree grows, you really want to have this irrigation line out here at the tree line, what we call the canopy line or drip line. That helps the tree so that the water and the roots grow out to where the water should be, out here wide on the tree. And it keeps the trees more stable in the ground, keeps them from blowing over. Real important for young trees to have that, and even if you have an established tree, go out and move it with the canopy line of your tree.
Okay, and of course, when we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about the pruning of the tree. When you're looking at these trees, there's actual pruning that needs to be taking place on this tree itself to prevent any type of damage. So when we get back, we're going to talk about that, and of course, how to make sure you're disinfecting your tools in between from tree to tree and even cuts. Yetta and Scotty, when you're pruning trees, or for that matter, any plants out here in Arizona, you want to make sure you do it. You remember, you got to, well, you're actually performing surgery on the tree itself. So it's very important we use a certain type of, well, not chemical necessarily, but a disinfectant on those tools as you're going from tree to tree. Yeah. And of course, plant to plant. Scott, Yetta, guys, there's lots to learn about trees. If you're not a professional at this, of course, these guys do it too. But we're going to hopefully help you out in the next segment so you can maybe do this and do it yourself.
Yeah. Monsoon storms hit, they often leave a lot of damage in their wake.
So we've seen a number of cases where trees are knocked down. So what do you do if that happens? We're checking in with Garden Guy for some tips.
Hey guys, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about a lot of trees here at Moon Valley. Take a look at this red push pistache. Beautiful tree out here in Desert Southwest. They do hold up very well to any type of monsoonal time damage. But we're talking to Sal here. Sal, you're with Moon Valley Nursery. And of course, we want to talk about the staking or proper staking of a tree itself. And take a look at the staking. You've done some double staking here, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we start with is a couple of stakes on the outside of the tree. I'm going to have them at a little bit of an angle so that it kind of holds up against the winds. We like to use this green coated galvanized wire and get it nice and tight, but loose enough around the tree that the tree itself has room to move in the wind, so it keeps the tree nice and strong.
You can see it right here. This actually reduces the amount of atrophy that you get on a tree so that they actually do break over. And something else I want to show you, right over here, some leaf cutter bees, and you can see this right over here. This is something I see on trees all the time. People going, what do I do about it? Folks, you don't need to do anything about it. It's very important that you just kind of just leave the tree alone. But something else you might want to do is do a little bit of pruning. And you got some pruning tools here. You can tell us a little bit about these.
Yeah, so our tools of the trade, the saws, the pruners, the shears, we're going to pretty much cut anything we have to with these guys. And when we do any types of cuts, we like to disinfect them first. So We like to use bleach, have a mix of bleach and water.
About 10% bleach to water mixture. It's real important to do this in between each one of the cuts, correct?
Correct. And between plants as well. That's one of the ways that diseases get spread out in the homeowners' yards from landscapers or even homeowners that don't know what they're doing.
And let's go over here and let's look at this red push pistache. This is one of my favorite trees, folks. If you want one that's really resistant to any type of wind throw that we have out here in the desert Southwest, it's this tree right here. And I was amazed at how much they are. Tell us the cost of this tree right here.
So big trees like this go for a couple $1,000s up to say $5,000, like this guy here. A lot of work bringing it in the yard. Use big equipment, tractors and cranes, but well worth it.
Yeah, you betcha. In fact, this is one reason you want to make sure you're pruning these guys properly. I want to show off a couple things. I'm going to step up on the stool here. But when you're pruning these trees, it's very important you stay above the root collar or the branch collar of the tree itself. And you see this branch collar right there. So any cuts need to take place above that. You can see some cross branching up there. That's got to be all removed. And of course, any kind of co-dominant type branching. You guys have got a service that does all this, right?
We do. So we have an entire tree care division that we have arborists on staff come out and properly trim and take care of your trees. It's a great investment in your trees so that you're taking care of them in advance so that they don't blow over, hopefully, and you don't have to replace them, remove them, and eat all that cost at the end.
And last but not least, proper watering procedures. And I've talked about this so often. When you're watering, make sure that drip line is on the what we call the drip line itself. In fact, this is the drip line of the tree itself. It's the canopy and where the canopy actually goes. And this drip line needs to be actually placed right there at that canopy. If it's not placed on the edge of the canopy, invariably you're going to get some what we call root throw out here in the desert Southwest. And Kimmy, I know you're talking a little bit about this hot weather right now. This monsoon activity, well, it's doing one thing to me, girl, cause me to sweat. I don't sweat very often. I'm so used to it. But I will tell you what, it is humid out here, girl.